record. There we go. Hello, this is GeralynStJoseph, and I am here to talk about pulling yourself back together. And I created this to help a lot of my clients who have been asking for similar work. It is very time consuming, or can be as time goes on. So I wanted to offer it broadly so that a group of us can do it together. It intensifies the energy and is just as efficient. I will be available to everyone in a private Facebook group, and we'll be able to answer questions and help you through this. So what is this exactly? What is pulling yourself back together? And no, I did not make a mistake when I was writing the text. When I talk about pulling yourself back together, I'm talking about your bigger self, your energetic self, who you truly are, your authentic self. Right now, we're going through a period of time like none other in our history that we can remember. I'm sure people who remember 1918 would say, well, it's kind of familiar. It's not familiar to the rest of us. So having the angst and everything else that goes along with being in quarantine, I feel that now is the time to really get to our core, heal the things that need to be healed, pull back the parts of our souls that we've lost, and really make a new decision. This is a choice point. A choice point of this magnitude does not happen that often. And it's not just a choice point for us, it's for the entire global system. It's for the entire earth. Am I talking about Democrat versus Republican? No, that's small potatoes. What we're talking about is negative polarity versus positive polarity. Negative polarity does not necessarily indicate negative as being wrong or as being bad. It's like two different poles on a magnet. In order for the magnet to be whole, it needs both sides. In order for us to be whole, we need to recognize both sides of ourselves, which is we are not perfect, and that there's a side of us or pieces of us that either we have left behind or disassociated with because we don't want to recognize that part of our being. We feel that it diminishes who we are as opposed to really brings to the surface our true authentic self. How are we going to do this? How does this work? How do we rebuild our energetic body, our energetic being? Well, there are some people who will tell you it's a one-shot deal. You do it real quick. Other people will tell you, oh, it takes years. I'm in between those two people. If you are really sincere in wanting to rebuild your soul and your energetic body, and you're really sincere about wanting to grasp and integrate all of your lessons, as well as heal old wounds, this is for you. We are going to take 6 weeks. I previously did an event where we did 3 of these major clearings in one night, and I found that it was way too much for many people to deal with. So what I'm going to be asking you is that when we set aside this time, that you really put your heart into it. You need to be fully present. You need to be fully committed that you are going to go through this process. So what does the process look like? And why am I saying it so, seriously? Anybody who knows me knows that generally I joke around and keep things fairly light. And I will continue to do so, but this is a serious process and it can be quite painful. We will begin with a universal light cleansing and protection. So the first time we get together, we'll be talking about what it takes to keep our energetic clear in this world and during this process. So the first class is very important. I know many of you have worked with me previously, and if you've worked with me previously, this is the white light meditation, but on a bigger scale. And what the white light encompasses is pure, unconditional love. It susses out anything inside you that is unlike love. It helps you to recognize those parts of your being that you might feel physically becoming tense or even aching in a way. You might feel like you're being poked or a little electrical shocks. Different people feel it in different ways. The white light energy has every hue. It is the full spectrum of colors. So it encompasses everything that you need to truly heal. Why, you ask then, if we're doing that, why can't that just be a one-shot deal? Because it works on what's here. If you're older than 2, there are pieces of you that you leave along the way. So as we experience trauma, as we start to question who we are, as we forget who we are meant to be, as we move out into the world, slivers come off, and this is called trauma. Sometimes it's not done by trauma. Sometimes this is done through a conscious choice that I'm going to be this and not this. And we put on our mask because we're trying to please someone else or fit into something. These 2 types of, I'll call it soul shedding. These 2 types of soul shedding allow us to move forward, but in a lower vibration. So every time you shed, you're actually lowering your vibration because you are not living in your fullness. Only when you are fully authentic and you are living an authentic life, that's word, thought, and deed, then you can raise your vibration to a very high level. You can keep it pretty middling to high with a lot of work, but once you recognize and embrace the fullness and completeness of who you are, both in the negative polarity and the positive polarity, then you can move up further. Then you lose your reactivity. Reactiveness comes from those knee-jerk reactions is created by life, going through things. This reminds you of this, and you're not even thinking about it. It's just a reaction. When that becomes bigger and starts to interfere with our relationships with one another, interfere with our relationships with ourselves, that's when it needs to be fixed. It is a lot of work. It is going to take energy. It is going to take time. But on the upside is when you come out of this on the other side, you will find yourself going through situations that you never thought you would be able to deal with before, because they would trigger you, because you would have this knee-jerk reaction every time you got into a relationship and you started getting close to one another, that you would, try to find fault with your partner. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to suss it out at its core, at the root. The first step is making sure that we are creating for ourselves a safe space to do that. So one of the things I'm offering with pulling yourself together is I'm offering to have you in a private group listening to the voice of spirit, where I will go in and answer questions, and where you can get support and understanding from like-minded souls. So that's the first part. Then the second part is soul retrieval. And soul retrieval can be done in many different ways. There are a lot of different ideas about what that looks like. the way I do it is to actually call in those pieces. You will be asked after the first class to figure out like life-changing moments that you've had. I ask for 3. And then what we want to do is when we do this soul retrieval and calling our soul pieces back is we want to go into those places that we know we buried that piece deeply. So we want to go into the things that continue to trigger us, the things that continue to hold us back, that make us feel inferior or make us feel afraid. Now, because these are not individual sessions, I will not be able to walk you through each of those steps. However, I will start the process and hold the energy while you move through the process. Then, if you do need individualized help, I am offering sessions that are individual to help you go even deeper if you feel the call to do that. After a soul retrieval, even if you're just integrating one piece, oftentimes that brings back with it whatever the emotions were during that trauma or during that time. We need to welcome that piece back and integrate those emotions. So if you feel like crying, if you feel like raging, if you feel like pounding a pillow or just sleeping, you need to follow what your physical and emotional, mental, spiritual bodies are telling you you need to do to integrate this piece. One thing that is universal is drinking water, a lot of it. Another thing you're going to want to do is celebrate. Have your body create some kind of celebration. So for me, when I do this kind of work, I like chocolate. So I go and I get myself some good chocolates and I have them on hand because chocolate can actually help your body physiologically feel better. It's those feel-good hormones. Hi, Lewis. Thank you for joining me. And as we integrate, what we're going to be doing during this process, though, is not just calling back one piece or 2 or 3. We're calling it all back in. So we're calling it all back in, and we need to have open arms and be ready to welcome it, and also be ready for the aftermath. That is important. And that's why I'm letting you know what to expect and what's going to happen before you even sign up. So as we call in our soul pieces and they start to integrate, and you will receive a recording of the process so that once we do it as a group, you can continue doing it during the week and continue processing. And you will also have the group listening to the Voice of Spirit on Facebook, which will help you be surrounded by people who understand, and I'll be checking in there also and be able to answer questions. So that's a huge, huge piece. I mean, doing the soul integration and the soul retrieval is something that I often do with very small groups or just a single person at a time because it is heavy. But I feel like this time right now that we're in, it is exquisite for doing this kind of work because it feels like a lot of barriers are down and people are more open to really becoming who they're meant to be. The whole world is shifting. So for us to shift within it is easier than if we're out in the world every single day and having to deal with it the way it is before this change manifested. So that's why I'm choosing now. And because so many people have come to me recently requesting the same type of work. So we do that, we bring in our soul pieces, and then we have to activate our energetic body and really clear it out. Because now what we're going to be clearing out is not just what's here that we carried with us and brought forward, but we're going to be cleaning out all the stuff that we left behind and whatever that picked up along the way. And how do we do that? Well, I prefer doing a core chakra cleanse. And what this is not just, we're not just shooting white light through the chakras and making sure they're balanced and spinning properly and all that. we're actually pulling out, physically pulling out debris, old ideas, all kinds of stuff that has gotten caught in there over time and over lifetimes even. So we're going to move this energy and shift it. We're going to pull out all the things that are holding us down and blocking us. And we're going to physically, I say physically, energetically, we're actually going to do like a really deep pulling of cords as it relates to each chakra system or each chakra. Once we've done that, oftentimes you feel so much lighter. Things get so much better. Then we'll clear them out with the white light energy. And then you'll have a week to deal with that and keep them clean and continue pulling cords or doing whatever you feel called to do. Again, you'll receive a video or an audio of that process. Then the next week, what we do is we are going to connect with the galactic Gaia system. My mouth is not in tune with my mind right now. I'm sorry. But it's really exciting. Then we're going to attune ourselves to the galactic Gaia system. And what is that? That is your energy centers, not just in your physical body, which are your core 7, but also those that connect you with Gaia, with the earth, because the earth is a being, and energetic being, and also with the all that is, the central sun, the galactic. That way we can pull the energy in. We'll understand more. It'll help us to be more secure and more balanced. Once that's done, then that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're on our 5th week. And the 5th week is the renunciation of agreements. So as we go through time, whether it be this lifetime or over several lifetimes, we make agreements with people, places, things. We make agreements to love someone forever. We make agreements to always be in this feudal system. We make agreements to be a nun or a priest or a monk. And we make agreements to be impoverished and all these different things. And we seldom make a conscious act of revoking those agreements. So they will follow you through lifetime. So if you were a monk and you had a vow of poverty, and then every life after that, you can't figure out why you're working so hard and the money never stays, it's because you have this vow of poverty that is following you around. So this is a renunciation of all of that. It's a renunciation of all the vows, all the agreements that we made, even the ones that we've been kind of suckered into over time. There are different entities and beings that are not looking out for our highest good. And they would rather we be shackled and stay in the lower vibration so that they can be fed. And we are refusing to do that at this point. So what we do with that is we take back the breath and the energy it took to create any of these limiting beliefs and agreements. And we make a new choice. And we choose to live as whole beings. Because now, at this point, we are whole beings. We are connected to spirit, and we are connected to the earth. We are full on in our bodies. Our soul is back together. And we can access now different knowledge that we didn't have access to before. So it's a huge undertaking. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be amazing, because what you feel like as you go through each of these steps, it's like you feel bigger, more energetic. You feel more grounded. You feel more powerful. It's a real sense of empowerment and achievement as we go through this. So the 6th week will be saved for going through questions, as if there's anything that we need to redo. If Spirit tells me there's another part of this, we will do that. The 6th week is for us all to come together and share and gather and celebrate. I appreciate everyone who came while this was live and came to see us. This will be uploaded. So aloha, thank you very much. And just so you know, pulling yourself back together, this time is going to start May 7th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It is recorded. It's best if you can make it to the actual classes at the times that we're doing it, but each time zone will probably have different people doing it at the same time. So even if you're not doing it at the same time as I'm doing it, you're still getting the bonuses and the benefit of doing it with several people and having me hold the space, because I will hold the space for a full 24 hours so everyone can catch up and do that, do each of these systems. If you are interested, please go to my website, GeralynStJoseph.com. And if you go to go into my website, you will see Pulling Yourself Back Together is under classes, and it'll show you the other things that I offer. So if this you think is going to be too heavy for you, maybe there's something else that we could do during this time that'll help you. I'm also teaching another class on May the 16th, which is a one and done, and that is awakening your healing energy. So that's just a small part of playing with energy. So thank you again for being here. My name is GeralynStJoseph, and I hope to see you at Pulling Yourself Back Together starting May 7th. Mahalo.